Hello Amar, hello Cyber Warrior, hello everyone, hello everyone. So today we are back with Reset Hacker Live show. This is fifth episode, and today we are having a good speaker, and his name is Aditya Shinde. Aditya Shinde is top 100 bug hunter on Bugcrowd, and also he is top 25 P1 researcher on Bugcrowd. He has great experience in bug hunting and penetration field. He has some good Hall of Fame from Microsoft and Google, Dell. There are many other companies. So he is a great guy in bug hunting field, and today we have a great session with Aditya Shinde. We will discuss about the particular topic, that is how to approach a particular target or vulnerability. It will help us, and if you guys having any question, you can put down in comment section, and we will try to give answer as much as possible. So I will invite him. So just wait for a few seconds, and I will back. So let me invite him, Aditya Shinde. And if you guys have any question, you can hello Tushar. If you guys have any question, you can put down in comment section, and I hope we will try to collaborate with you. Hello Hack Space. Hello Bala Murli. Hello Aditya sir, how are you?
I'm good.
How are you doing?
Uh, Pretty busy.
First of all, congratulations for the top 100 bug hunter on Bugcrowd, sir. You are
Thank
doing
you.
really great.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we have discussion about today that how to approach a particular vulnerability or target.
Hmm.
So we have some question from the audience side, and we have some question from our side. So let's start with the first question.
Okay.
So that is a basic question from the audience side, that what is a vulnerability to mean to you?
Uh, as per my experience or my hands-on practice, I would say to the functionality which is in website or we can say in Android application or iOS, anything
Yes.
we can say, to just break into that system or how we can abuse the application or function by that. So get
Thank,
sensitive
yeah.
information or remote access like that.
Thank you so much. If you find a vulnerability, so what are the checkpoints? Means what are the checkpoints, and what are the points that you consider to target them?
Uh, Finding vulnerabilities, like you can say, are you using checkpoints or endpoints like that?
Yeah.
So, if web application based on any Ruby Rails or any Laravel or Node.js like that, firstly I used to check the versions of that, and after
Okay.
that I used to check proper CV, or you can say made a 0 day. You can say
Yes. Right.
after that, in web applications, mostly functions are vulnerable. Like you can say there is a phone number function.
Right.
What if I put 100 digit into that? What will be the response? How will request from our server to in the backend or
Yeah.
backend to server?
So you try all possible combination that can possible.
Yes, but in my hands-on practice, I used to hunt business logic. Like everyone is hunting XSS, CSRF. Likewise, SSRF is also
Right.
pretty common vulnerability. But in my way, I used to hunt business logic, so there is a less chance to get duplicate.
Right. Right. So what is your methodology that you use to hunt the bugs? I know it
For
is
my
private, but somehow if you
methodology, as I already told you, that used to hunt business logic. Even if you found any subdomain which is using SSO or using a third party services, simply you can learn that third party services or how they work or how their sign up function or login function work. Simply
okay.
you can break into them. Like you can use two parameters or three parameters in single request to get the multiple response or getting a sensitive information. I used to just two tools. I can say Asset Finder and HTTP Pro, because everything I want is 200 OK.
Okay.
If we have a proper domain or proper functionality in web application, simply we can assume our business logics or vulnerabilities in our mind. So, firstly, I used to create the possible exploits in my mind. After that, I perform it
Okay.
on web applications.
That's great. So, like,
Yeah.
if there are some beginners who don't know how to start hunting. So, like, what is the method you want to suggest them? That like this is the first step, and this is the second step, this is the last step.
Always try to hunt. If you are a beginner, try to consider website. This is the new because the Dell or Mastercard. These are some old programs in which I made some good rank because every time I used to visit a website as a not as a hacker or not as a penetration tester, but a simple user. I used to check each functionality one by one and taking the all nodes or all endpoints in a single sheet. So after clearing that, if the site is very have large scope, you can simply go to GitHub. You can check for authentication, bearer tokens, and access keys, access tokens like that. Simply page the response. If you can't get any response or nothing like that, simply you can go to exploiting functionalities like that.
Okay, that's great information from your side. So, like, do you think that automation is necessary or used in bug hunting? And if it is good, so what are the tools that we should use for the automation?
For automation, I can say you can set up your machine via VPS DigitalOcean, and simply you can use. There are multiple tools for automation, like you can say Lazy S3, some all-in-one tool by Isahil and Sek also. But in my case, it is good to be get into the automation for bug bounty or penetration testing, but if you are thinking out of the box, recently I tweeted about my SSRF while finding a QR code generator. That was pretty unique vulnerability. In my case, I was just suffering the application and found that uh, misbehave in application or QR code functionality. So you can use automation also, and if you are going business logic, finding business logic vulnerabilities
Okay,
or manual vulnerabilities, it will take time, but surely you will get P1 or P0.
okay, that's great. That's great. So, what is your favorite tool?
In my case, my favorite tool is just buff, nothing else. It playing with repeater, response, intruder like that.
Okay, that's great. That's great. So, I want to say that, how you started your journey in bug hunting field.
I
And there are some beginners who don't know how to start. They be serious and they get demotivated. So, is
okay. So almost 5 years ago, I started my bug bounty journey. When I was you can say a small kid in seventh standard, I used to fish websites. Or I used to hack my friend's account using phishing like that. After that, my one of my friends said that why don't you try your skills on bug bounty programs or any website. Till that, I even don't know that what is bug bounty or responsible disclosure. So I started reading some books and what is web application, how it works, and simply you can read. There are many books like Bug Bounty Cookbook, Python 2.0 for Black Hats, and Hacker Handbook, Playbook 1, 2, 3. There are three parts of that. But in my case, I started my first bug was CSRF. I was able to uh, change the email address of a specific person. They paid me
okay.
with a good bounty.
Yeah.
That if you are willing to start in bug bounty, please take care the first note. You will get much frustration or depression in the start because you will say, "I'm getting duplicate, I'm not getting valid bug, or not getting bounty." If you are going for money or going for a valid team or like that, please take a bit rest and after that start or practice your skills on some labs. You can currently CodeSwigger lab is very good. I'm also practicing on that.
Okay.
Just search the one thing which you want to learn. Like if you want to find XSS vulnerability or XSS bypass, simply go to Google. You can type XSS bypass Medium write-up. Medium is very good platform to
Okay.
get good findings or good write-ups on that.
Thank you so much for your information and your story. So, I heard that you report is a good part in bug hunting. Like, if you report a good report, then if your bug is duplicate, still you get a bounty. So is
Yeah.
there any suggestion you want to give for the report, or is there particular steps or format that you want to give?
Yes, in reporting, first, in my experience, I would say the main part is the title of vulnerability. If you are simply
Okay.
finding a search in search bar, you can simply find excessive vulnerability. You can make it as URL redirection or open redirection. Try to escalate that vulnerability to high critical. Recently, I found accesses to external SSRF, so I named it as HTML character not sanitizing in search bar leads to external SSRF.
Okay.
That's made pretty good impact for the first time.
Right.
So even if Trajan or in developer which is reading the report, he will or she will get shocked that what the hacker or what the tester found. So after
Right.
that, make it properly description, make it proper. In the last, impact is very important because
Okay.
if you are finding XSS vulnerability and copying impact from Google or pasting it into report, it will not get you proper bounty or proper validation. If you are simply find XSS vulnerability, try to page the tokens, try to page the access token of other users. How we can
Okay.
escalate vulnerability from 0 to 100. So that's
Okay.
why you will get a proper report.
Okay. So, and there's a problem that happens with the beginners that they start hunting on out of scope, and they don't know about that. So, is there any guidance do you want to give? Because they start hunting on out of scope domain and they find the bugs, they report bugs, and they reject it. So, they start getting demotivated. So, so how they find that this particular domain is out of scope, or these are the particular domains that like the staging, these are the particular domain that we consider. So, any guidance that you want to give them?
Mostly, people used to forget that we have to need to test in a proper scope or not to getting another domain or testing another domain. Even if
Right,
you found credentials on GitHub, you can access the credential. But still, if programs said in their policy that out of scope or third party vendors are not allowed in scope, but still, if you can make it a good proper impact, because recently I found a vulnerability which was disclosing by GitLab. In that, I was able to get the access of developer tagging environment. I
okay,
reported that vulnerability to first to support. Uh, After support, they told me that organization or program is happy to accept that vulnerability. Even if you found a vulnerability in it which is out of scope,
okay,
first contact support or the main team behind the program or platform, then you can go forward it. Because
okay,
if you directly reporting vulnerability in a disclosure form or properly without any you can say notification to organization,
right, right,
after that they will obviously mark your submission as -1 or you can say out of scope.
okay. That's great information from your side. So, and there's one thing that trending in these days, that is chaining of bugs. Like if you
Yeah,
find a accesses, so you can chain the with 3 and 4 critical bugs. So,
yeah.
what is the procedure means? What is the guidance that you want to give? Like, if I found a accesses, so how can I chaining the bugs with the accesses?
Using XSS or any simple vulnerability, you can make it as a big or P1 priority 2 or priority 1 vulnerability. In
Okay,
this, you need to focus on how the functionality works. If you found a stored XSS in comment section or profile update,
right,
simply use that XSS for reading the content from inside because it's already stored in profile section or wherever because it's
right,
fetching some data from backend. So obviously, you need to look for backend how it works. Or if it's disclosing or accessing or fetching the third-party services, simply you can make that XSS to internal SSRF. Use octet encoding for SSRF using already suppose if you found XSS stored XSS, use that vulnerability to finding or chaining the SSRF. If you are
okay,
not doing a specific vulnerability chaining, not chaining that vulnerability, um, it might get duplicate or out of scope because one of program recently I was reading the policy. They said the remote code execution is out of scope. So
okay,
I thought why not to test remote code execution, because they already said the remote code execution is not in scope. Still, I tried my best and I got a pretty big thing in their platform.
Okay, okay, that's great information. So, and one thing is that, I heard that you hunt for zero-day vulnerabilities.
Yeah, and
So,
for zero.
like 0 days, it is didn't find means we don't have this vulnerability yet, and we don't have patch for that vulnerability. So,
Yes.
what is the procedure that we start hunt for the 0 day vulnerability?
Mhm. For finding zero day, I would say you can just pick a one vendor which is using by organization or industrial area. Recently, I found a vulnerability in one of you can say camera app.
Okay,
They are using some functions which was already all their users or their customers were hit by my attack. So I found a zero day. I reported to that all organization. For finding that, I was just testing a website with their functionalities, and I found the specific version in their response. So I started digging that how that server works or how that
okay,
function works in
that's great.
backend. So it was on
Okay,
Ruby Rails. I was learning Ruby Rails from sololearn.com, and I found a good way to make create exploits using Ruby Rails. So I made the proper code or proper you can say exploit for that. I downloaded the server version on my dev environment and I tested that. So I found more than almost 300 servers was vulnerable for that
oh,
specific,
great.
and after that I reported to specific organization and the vendor of the specific web application. So
Okay,
still, this is not patched yet but still vulnerable.
great vulnerability.
Thank you.
So, and like first of all, I want to say to audience that if you guys have any question, you can ask and you can put down in comment section, and Aditya sir will help you to give the answer. So you can ask any question related to bug hunting. Okay. So and if you are doing means you are doing one bug hunting, so there's a chance that every day you found new vulnerability. So you have to up to date yourself in this field.
Yes.
So how you make yourself up to date in this field?
I used to check each and every subdomain of organization. If the program or organization have big subdomains or large scope subdomains, daily, in my case, daily they need to change the functions or in web application. I'll be checking tagging environment or checking the backend data.
Okay,
Simply and check for recently I found I'm doing research on Jira and Atlassian. They are using some of bug bounty programs using old versions, so they are much vulnerable for CV 10 I think 1058, which is remote code execution.
okay,
And in last week I found seven remote code executions in 2 hours because they already vulnerable for that specific part. So you
okay,
need to check each third party and each subdomain of that organization day to day. If you are not doing that, you are missing something.
okay. So and some people are asking Bugcrowd versus HackerOne. So is there anything that you wanna say about it?
In my case, I faced a bad experience from HackerOne, but still people are doing good on HackerOne. In transparency, I would suggest Bugcrowd because if there is a proper vulnerability, if you are a first reporter, then it's valid. They give a proper decision. This is a vulnerability. This is valid. They made it trial. They rewarded you. They resolved it. But in HackerOne, it takes too much time because in my case or in other case, uh, time is money. And if you
Right.
are wasting your time for $100 or $200 like 1 month, then what you are doing? That's it.
Yes, yes. And someone is asking that how to hunt only P1 bugs.
How to hunt only P1 bug? You need to check for function. I would share my experience, and there is a question that which is your favorite vulnerability. So I was testing as I said, I was testing web application. I found remote code execution and some multiple functions on that website. There is a registration function which was vulnerable for OTP bypass. So I tried to access it with security at companyname.com.
Okay.
After I achieved that, I bypassed that registration process, and the thing or dashboard was very shocking because I was able to read all vulnerability reports from other researchers.
That's great.
They what they sent, I was able to reply them, and currently the vulnerability is patched, but that's very good from that side. They patched it within 2 hours.
Okay. Someone asking something. Let me check. Someone is asking that how to get private programs.
On private programs, on Bugcrowd, you need to maintain your severity to be, I think, 4 or 3. Uh, Currently, because of COVID-19, some programs are getting closed because some their issues or their problems. But
Right.
still, if you want to get a private invitation, go for less your severity, make a good impact in report, then you will get private invitation.
Okay. And in starting, I heard that most of beginners are hunt for the money only. They don't have knowledge. Recently, I got a message from a kid. He was 10 years old kid, and he started telling me that, bro, teach me Baganti. I wanna start earning. So I told him that you should learn first. So what are the things that you wanna say them?
If you first, every time I used to say, if you are visiting the website properly, uh, uh, in your head or in your mind, you always go to check that I want to hunt bug, that I want to found a critical vulnerability in web application. But what you are doing while testing web application, what mistakes beginners or some good people also do, I used to do. But the thing is, I got the solution for that. If you are testing a website or if you are a beginner, then please go check website properly because e-commerce website or normal functional websites have many bugs. Because normally, if you are going to website, checking profile section, deleting password, using bug scan, spider like that, it will not get you a proper bugs like that
Okay.
because some bugs are pretty logical because you want to hunt that for using your mind, not only bug suit.
Right.
Because in some web application I used to hunt bugs without using bug suit. So simply go check each and every functionality, what you can or what you can exploit or what you
Okay.
can properly abuse that function. In my case, I found some web application which was using profile section, and in that I was able to insert iframe tag. So using that, I chained it with account taker vulnerability. Simply, that's a
Okay.
less.
That's great. That's great. Someone is asking that what are the mistakes that you have done when you are beginner?
When I was beginner, I'm still beginner, but the
No,
thing
sorry,
is
you are not beginner.
that not that. Beginning, I used to check. I used to do active scan from Burpsuit. So in
Okay.
my head, like I will get a proper or critical vulnerability in 4 5 hours. I will check request, and then I will check response. So it was my first mistake. I'm in After that, I'm not accessing or not viewing the subdomains or using directory listing, that types of vulnerability. I used to say that this is a very small bug, what I will get using directory listing or dir search. But after that, as per experience, I found that many hunters or many hackers using tools. So I started little bit automation. After that, I moved to business logic vulnerabilities, 0 days, like that.
Okay, that's great. So if you guys have any good question, you can ask Aditya Shinde. He's a good bug hunter. So you can ask anything.
They will ask how to get started in bug bounty, teach me tools like that.
Someone is asking how to be a bug hunter like you.
So, uh, first thing I always say, don't judge yourself or don't compare yourself because if you are comparing yourself with someone, you are losing your confidence. So be confident, be positive while that.
Okay. So someone is asking that what is your checklist? Like, is there any particular checklist that you hunt?
So for my side, from my side, I would say my first priority for hunting vulnerability is remote code execution, the P1 or you can say P0. Always, if you are finding a P1 or P0, you will get surely you will get P2 or P3 at
Right.
least. If you are finding P2 or P3 vulnerability, like if you are finding XSS, you will get P4 vulnerability. If you are finding a normal basic low hanging fruits, you will get P5 vulnerability. So always think that you are new for this program and surely you will find RC. But if you are finding RC, surely you will get SQLi injection. Yesterday I was finding SSRF and I got SQL injection, sorry, GraphQL injection.
Okay.
So you can say it was pretty luck for me.
Okay. So someone is asking that is there anything about auth misconfiguration?
OAuth misconfiguration, in SML testing, I found SDK integration, and I always
Okay.
use to put up in environment and checking the whole process for OAuth, at how it's working or how it's getting from my side to backend. So it's pretty simple that you can check the all response from your in your SDK integration or backend servers. Using
Okay.
normal output, you will not get proper response or proper endpoints in
Right.
that. Simply you can perform, or simply you can set up your SDK integration, set up on that side or on your side and perform whatever you want.
Okay.
So after that, once you perform the whole process or the whole flow in your side, simply you can go to the web application
Right.
and perform the same thing on that.
So someone is asking which one is better, recon scan or passive?
Sorry.
Which one is better, recon scan, passive or active?
In my case, active scan.
Okay. So can you explain them that why active is good?
Okay. I used to share methodologies on my Twitter also. If you are performing active scan, you will get the proper idea of web application. They have hundreds of subdomains. You will get 75 or 85 proper subdomains which is working on Node.js. And in active scan, you must check that how they are using vendors or external third-party services,
Right.
not just manual checkup or not just doing a simple thing. You can
Okay.
use CV for that also because
Okay.
currently Node.js is vulnerable for multiple 0 days and CVs, and they are still not patched yet. So simply you can access that specific part and try each and every function in website and try to perform more tools. If you are not good at manual checkup or business logic, try to use tools and automate your whole process like many tools, Asset Finder, HTTP Probe, and Eyewitness in
Okay.
one batch liner code. So you'll get a proper response and result also.
Okay. And someone is asking that how to test SSO based access control and authentication bypass.
For authentication bypass access control vulnerabilities, you must check parameters. In my case, parameters are most vulnerable part in SSO or authentication bypass section. For bypassing, you can check response. If you are using another user response for, you can say, I'm using my own response to access the third party or another user account. So simply you can bypass OTP using a
Okay.
valid response. You can make it each false equal to one, make it zero, admin equal to false, make it true. There are multiple keywords. You need to just play with repeater and response.
Okay.
This response is response checking or response manually checking is very important
Okay.
because if you are not checking a response properly, then you are pretty sure missing a P1 vulnerability. All P1 vulnerabilities are in mostly in P response.
Okay. That's great, great info. And guys, don't worry, we will upload the video on YouTube. So right now you can ask question with the Aditya Shinde. Just ask question if you guys have any question. And someone is asking like I also face like if I hunt Bakra or Hackathon, so it like I select a target. So they are also many bug hunters already submitted many vulnerabilities. So people start getting demotivated that these are the vulnerabilities that already submitted. So should I hunt on this program or not? Like know about a guy that is today's new, I think.
Yes,
He's
yes,
everywhere. He's everywhere.
yes, is
So
everywhere.
so people are starting demotivated. So you wanna suggest something to them?
If you are comparing or judging yourself, the thing is bug bounty. In the bug bounty, the fear of duplicate is very worst in my case. In beginner stage, I also reporting vulnerability, and I was very happy that I will get bounty, that I will get dollars, euros. After checking mail, there is a the vulnerability already reported by another researcher like that. So I started why this happened to me or this is happening to all others. So
Okay.
I look at others and you can say I was pretty cool for that. So others are also getting duplicate. So don't worry about that. Just continue your steps, what you are doing. Sometimes most bug hunters fail to check low hanging fruits. They always want to remote code execution, high priority bugs.
Right.
Uh, in web application, the program started 6 months ago, and I started hunting for SSRF, CSRF vulnerability, business logic. After that, I didn't get anything, so I just reported session invalidation after password reset.
Okay.
So in morning, I saw the report was trashed. So I think this is pretty different. So it's on your luck that how it works. So don't get demotivated. Continue your research, continue your hunt, and try to hack yourself first. Then hack the web application.
Okay. And some other people are asking that how to report and how to find sensitive information disclosure.
For finding sensitive information disclosure, currently I'm using Windows OS. But in last 6 months, I was using Parrot and I using directory listing search for that. Using that, I found many directory listing vulnerabilities like disclosing PHP information, JS files in source code. JS files were disclosing API keys and secret keys. And after that, I started Recon on GitHub. So I created some of my own docs, found some docs on Google. As per functionality, I made some doc. Like if there is a functionality like reset token or reset password or
Right.
username equal to. So I simply go to GitHub. In double quote, there is a like you can say site.com, and after that username equal to. So I found many usernames and many reset tokens were disclosed on GitHub. So I tried all the tokens. Some of them was working. Almost found 200 tokens, and in that almost you can say 75 or 85 was working. But after checking that, the organization said this is a not valid vulnerability, but and this is out of scope also. But the information was in mass thing, so they accepted as a normal vulnerability and made it to P3. So P1
Okay.
vulnerability, P1 to P3.
Okay. So they are asking, is there any good tools that you want to recommend for the GitHub record?
For GitHub Recon, you can use GitHub and GitHub, but for proper information or proper validations in response or getting docs, you must create your own docs. If you are not
Right.
creating your own docs, then you are missing something. People used to say that, oh, how I will get the proper information using doc, or how I will get information disclosure using doc. Then you are missing something.
Okay. So someone is asking, have you ever tried that CTFs and hack the box kind of thing, or you tried to start the bug attack?
In start I started hack the box thing, but after that I found pretty lazy for that, and then I started web applications like that. So
Okay.
currently not doing CTF, but will try in future.
Okay. So how you enhance your methodology? Like there is nothing like that. You always follow the same methodology for the same for every target.
Yes,
You have to make some changes according to the target.
yes.
So what are the means how you enhance your methodology? What are the changes that you add according to target?
So for enhancing or upgrading your methodology or your research or study, I used to read Medium write-ups daily to us. If you're not reading, people used to say that reading or watching videos are pretty boring. But still, it's my own suggestion that you must read and perform that same thing on web applications. So in enhancement, currently I'm doing some research on Ruby Rails and backend servers. So if you are thinking, recently a Bhav Jain bug bounty hunter from India found vulnerability in Apple, that account takeover. He got paid
Right.
digit bounty. So I started reading JWT tokens, how authorization or bearer token works.
Okay.
Simply, you need to read the write up and go with the flow, that how it works.
Right. 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 Okay. And someone is asking that what was your first bug and what was the interested bug that you have found till yet?
My first bug was CSRF, and my interesting bug was I take over the security desk of organization where other researchers used to report vulnerabilities.
Great. Like, okay. Let me see. Guys, if you have any question, you can put down in comment section. And someone are people are asking that you known as SSRF master. So, is there anything that you wanna suggest them?
For SSRF, I created some my own payloads, some own functionalities I used to check. Mostly functions are vulnerable in web application. People used to check URL redirection, open redirection, or there is a suppose we can consider profile section where we can add the link. But have you ever tried that localhost or octet encoding will work there? So people
Okay.
think that SSRF is very big thing or pretty big vulnerability, but you forget that someone is trying else for that vulnerability also. So grab up your work collaborator, take your tools and take your payloads, make your own payloads and put into that. So if server is fetching data from backends on parameter, suppose there is a parameter which is fetching a file from backend. So simply on that parameter you can also try SSRF.
Okay, that's great. And people are asking that CTF and hack the box kind of thing are related to bug hunting, or this help us in bug hunting.
In my case, I very tried less CTF or hack the box, but for encryption and encoding, decoding, it will help in bug bounty. But the
Okay.
thing is, you must hunter for server side, because currently I'm hunting on client side or web application. But
Right.
if you are hunting for backend or services or servers, backend servers, it will help for you.
Okay. And someone is asking that Shivang is asking that what all other things could be considered as P1 and how to find some P1.
For finding P1, you must know that what organization need. If organization is very careful about users data or customers data, go
Okay.
find customer data, go find employees data. If you are finding access key or secret tokens or SSH key, SSH access. Recently, I found SSH access of a specific bug bounty program. They made it P4. After that, I made a proper exploit. They made P4 to P1.
Okay.
Simply, your recon methodology depends how you approach for vulnerability. For finding P1, it doesn't matter. P1 is just a keyword. If you are making a normal XSS vulnerability to internal SSRF or reading internal pages, then it's also a P1. So it doesn't
Okay.
matter. P1 is just a keyword, not that warrior or you can say lead type.
Okay. So P1 is like how much critical information you are finding, how much harmful it is for the organization.
So if you are finding a phone number, simply their employee ID or access key, because recently I found some image URLs which was disclosing the QR code of employees.
Okay.
So it's pretty sensitive information, because if you are
Okay.
accessing third party vendors or using that their own QR codes for getting a response in your burp suite. So I found a QR code which was containing a base 64 value, and after that performing that specific request in burp suite, I found response was containing there a link of their own identity. So it
Okay.
was displaying phone number, home address, employee address, street address, and some account ID also.
Okay.
So it depends how you work or for organization, or how you find P1 or sensitive information from website.
Means it depends on organization that they consider it as a P1 or not.
Suppose
Yeah.
if you are working for Facebook, and you are a HR or head manager of that, mistakenly you have posted some CSV files or MDB files or
Right.
somewhere, like you can say GitHub or GitLab or openly accessible URL.
Right.
So person like a hacker or someone else, a black person, you can say black hat person, will use that dark, will use that information. And mostly CSV file contains some sensitive information like always phone numbers and street address like that.
Right. And people are asking that is there any good platform rather than except Bugcrowd and HackerOne that you want?
Uh, Currently, I'm hunting on just Bugcrowd, but if you're want to get, if you have proper skills, you can go with Google VRP, go with Facebook, and currently there is a platform I'm doing some research on that, Fidarse. You can
Okay.
also and Google it.
And people are asking that how to hunt on GitLab.
So same as you can say, there is a website like Google Hacking Pentestool.com. You just need to put your target, like we can say site.com. After that, there is a keyword like github/gitlab.com recon. So once you click on it, you will get all information of that target on GitHub and GitLab also. So you just need to check manually that what it displays.
Okay. So people are asking that are you a full-time bug hunter or part-time, and how you manage things with your personal life? Like,
So currently, I'm a full-time bug bounty hunter. Now the college, or you can say job, is not that
right.
busy. But in my case, when I was in college, I used to take rest for 3 hours and doing college for 8 hours. After that, I used to do 2 hours and then pen testing or hunting on websites proper.
Okay.
So your diet and your personal life, your proper sleep is also important in performance.
Right. So is it worth to read security policy of any organization before hunting?
Yes, it's a very first thing I used to check that policy, proper policies of the organization. If they said that DDoS or DOS is not acceptable, or do not test DOS vulnerabilities, but mistakenly you have a performer attack from intruder, which made the service desk or backend desk down. So that's why they said don't test for that specific vulnerability. So read policies and their rules and regulations.
Okay, that's great. So you only do web application pen testing, or also you do mobile application pen testing?
Currently, just doing web application testing, and
Okay.
slowly moving to Android and iOS also.
Okay. So is there any guidance that you want to give audience for mobile pen testing?
For mobile pen testing, you need proper knowledge of static and dynamic analysis. That how functionality in backend. You just need to proper environment that where you can check the source code, like browser. You can decompile the application. You can check the functionalities like Symlink or Deep Link one by one.
Okay. And people are asking that how to exploit blind SFRF, because some people are don't know difference between the SSRF and blind SSRF.
Recently found in my SSRF case, I found the QR based SSRF, which was giving response after you can say 20 minutes like that. For
Okay.
that, I mean, once you get the response in collaborator, just try to escalate it with localhost IP addresses, like you can say 0.0.0. Like that, using localhost IP addresses, encode it to mostly vulnerable parties for exploiting blind SSRF or normal SSRF. You must encode your payload into double URL. So
Okay.
once you encoded your payload, try to fetch the response with it properly.
Okay. That's great. So if you guys have any question, you can put down in comment section. So, so how much time you spend on bug hunting?
So currently I'm spending my you can say 10 hours on bug hunting.
Okay.
In 10 that 10 hours I used to read for 2 hours I used to read blogs or medium write-ups on YouTube, reading or watching POC.
Okay. That's great. So what are the good resources, a book, videos that you want to refer to beginners to learn the bug hunting?
There is a link on you can simply go to Google. You can search for Namsek basic resources or eSile. Simply, you will get multiple books and write-ups on that. And recently, one of my friends, they once posted a link on GitHub that you will get all Medium write-ups in that.
Okay. And there's a one mistake that most of the people do, like they start doing bug hunting and they start sitting on 15 hours, 18 hours, 20 hours. They don't care about their health, and then they start getting demotivated. They face health problem also. So as you said that a good time in sleep is needed for the good bug hunting. So, what are the key things that you want to refer them that you should take proper sleep? You should take care of your health. Like,
Yes. For doing good approach and doing a proper uh, systematic hunting on web application target, you must take your mind at a zero level. If your brain is uh, thinking about other things like I want to get an iPhone, I want to get a bike like that,
right,
that, and I will. That's good for you because you are setting your goals and your high reach goals for that.
right,
But in that scenario, you are very desperate for dollars, I can say, or euros. But
okay,
the first thing is you just need a proper sleep. At least 8 hours you must sleep. But
okay,
in this thing, people mistake that they used to hunt for 20 hours, 24 hours. One
right,
of my friends was hunting for 27 hours continuously, and he said, "I did get, I'm not getting anything. Please help me like that." I say, I said to him that you must take a proper sleep. After that, go hunt with your fresh mind.
okay. Thank you for great information and tips. So, guys, is there anything that you wanna ask to Aditya Shinde? Is there anything that you wanna add or give guidance or tips to our users or audience?
So, in my case, if you are hunting for a proper bug bounty or you need a proper bounties in very less time, you must go with the website functionalities. Uh, if you are checking website one by one, because if you see proper same function or same functionality on different website also or different subdomain also, you think this is the same thing on another domain and you left that domain. But the another domain which is already vulnerable for a big vulnerability, just because of you left that domain. So testing domain properly with functionalities and
Okay.
exploiting or abusing that functionalities in your own way.
So Someone is asking about the deep link exploit and JWT tokens.
So I think Deep Link is in Android, right? I'm not doing some Android testing currently, but in JWT, you must check the decode value. There is a website called, I think, jwtcode.org.
Okay.
Simply decode that token, check the value. If it's disclosing the specific value or username like that, uh, check another username, encode that username into JWT and perform that specific parameter or specific value in your request. So
Okay.
that's how it works.
So people are asking what is the impact of server side security misconfiguration?
For it depend. There are multiple vulnerabilities in server-side misconfiguration where you can test or hit from client side to server side, which will interact between. You can say in server-side misconfiguration, I am mostly hunting SSRF, which is reading internal files and some disclosing some sensitive data. Recently made SSRF to RC because if you are not doing anything in server side or not hitting from client side to backend, so it will take bit of time, but surely you will get a big vulnerability using that.
Okay. Date and it Santani boy that you're asking roadmap for the WAPT. He is already shared that how to approach a target and how to hunt for bug. So you can watch the video after the session. We hunt for the bug. How to get this. Yeah, there is one common question that some users what do that they found server is disclosing server version like Apache version, PHP version, jQuery version. So if they older and they are CB exploit, so they don't know what is the impact and they directly start reporting. So it is a good way or bad way, and what is the good way to report?
So, in my view, if you are simply reporting a version of server or jQuery version, it's not a good thing for your report. Or you can simply, in theoretically, you are saying this is vulnerable for this CVE. But
Right.
after some time, triage or repo, some development team will apply blocker on your submission and they will ask that what is the exploit of this vulnerability.
Okay.
So maybe they will made it out of scope or not applicable. But because before you hunting or reporting the vulnerability, like if you found 2.0.7 is vulnerable for remote code execution or denial of service, simply go to Google. You can check for. Also, you can go to exploit.db, and you can use that specific keywords like Apache, Ubuntu OS 2.0.7 and CV. Simply, you will get multiple links that will disclose or that will show you that this is the version is vulnerable for RC or vulnerable for
Okay.
Linux or other applications also.
Okay. Great. So guys, we have only 5 minutes and session will end. So if you have any question, you can put down in comment section. So is there anything for the HTTP request smuggling?
For HTTP request smuggling, simply you can go to Portswigger Lab. They add some few labs on that. In CLT or I think the different thing is in backend servers. So you
Okay.
can test your skills on that also.
Okay. And one thing that we don't know what are the companies available. We sometimes we search on Shodan for the recon process. Like they are available on Shodan or not. We can find them. So how to find that these are the company that are available on Shodan, so we can find them and recon them.
So you just need a proper IP address. I can say proper IP address and proper organization keyword for that. If you are just finding you can also instead of Shodan, you can also use Census for finding multiple IP addresses regarding that
Okay.
specific website. So you just need to sort it out which is working and which is not working. Yesterday I found a IP address which was using iSpam camera services. Simply I go to Google, I found iSpam default credentials. In Google there is a credential was admin 1234. I copied that credential and access that system. So it's pretty simple that
Right.
how it works or that how you Google or how you search on Google. If you are just going on Google that putting XSS vulnerability or CSRF vulnerability, go beyond that. If you are finding or
Okay.
if you are looking for big vulnerabilities, if you found a password or if you found a login page, simply perform unauthorized access or unauthorized endpoint. Because if there is a login and if you are performing or directory listing or did search on that, simply
Okay.
go with default paths with that. If you access that path in API or in simple web application login pages, so it will also give you a P2 or P3 vulnerability like unauthorized access to admin dashboard or unauthorized access to internal systems.
Okay. That's a great session. We have only 3 minutes left. So thank you so much, Aditya sir, for great session, great information, great tips that you shared with us. So thank you so much, sir, for joining the session. And
Thank
thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
you.
Bye. So guys, you can find video on YouTube. We will upload this video on YouTube soon. So just find out the video, search Reset Hacker on YouTube. You will find out all the Instagram live videos on Reset Hacker of Reset Hacker on YouTube. I hope you like the session. We will come back next weekend with great speaker, great session. So if you guys have, you guys want that we should invite a particular speaker, you can guys message us and we will try to invite a particular speaker. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much.